This is a sheet I use over and over again. I find it very useful for me in my personal life in making loans and receiving the payments and interest, or paying out interest as the case may be. We will examine several formulas that help us. Let's look at this. The interest rate is 6.75, that's annual. The number of years is 30. Payments per year is 12. Purchase price was $750,000 on this home. Down payment $150,000, that left $600,000. Now notice on the type, because this is a mortgage or we're paying off a loan, we're going to pay it at the end of the period. So 0 is the correct answer. Down below you'll notice here I have a number of different pieces of information. Let's look at the payment. First of all, this first port, if it's 0, then we don't put anything in. That's what would be appropriate for B21. But we're really interested in the second part. The payment of B8, that's this interest rate, divided by B10. We need to turn this yearly interest rate into a monthly interest rate. Then we have B9 times B10, the number of periods, the number of years times how many times per year, minus B13, in order to show these positive, the loan amount, and we have a future value of 0, and the type is 0. In this case, B14 is 0. That gives us a payment of $3,891.59. Now that we know the payment, we can see how much of that was interest by taking the interest rate divided by 12 times whatever the previous balance is. Gives us the interest for the period. The principal is simply taking the payment minus the interest. Now that we have paid $516.59 on the principal of the loan, we subtract that from the previous balance to give us our new balance. This then is just copied on down, and here we've done it for 30 years. I've used grouping over here on the side. You can see the total by years. Also, up here at the top, you see that we'll pay a total of $1,400,971.89 on that loan of $600,000. That will include over $800,000 in interest on that $600,000 loan, and of course the principal. Take a look around and play with this table. Next, let's play with some other formulas that you may not be quite as familiar with. Here we have a formula that will allow us to say how much principal is paid in any given period. So I've put a period up here. How much principal will we be paying in that particular period? Equals PPMT. And let's take a look at this. So the rate is the interest rate divided by the number of months. The period we're interested in is G7 up here. Let's make that absolute if you're going to copy that anywhere else. The number of periods is 30 times 12, and the present value is 600,000. The future value is blank. Now don't forget to finish off looking down here, and the type is B14. We could put 0 in future value. It doesn't matter. Notice though we've got the description of what this is that we're putting in as type. We'll say OK, and it looks like our principal payment should be $905.21. Let's go check it out. That's period 101. $905.21. So it's calculated out individually as needed. We can also do the same thing with interest payment. Why don't you do it first and then we'll do it together? Okay, so this is equals to IPMT, and let's use this form. The rate is here, divided by the number of periods. The period we're interested in is 15 up here. Number of periods is 30 times 12. The present value is 600,000, no future value. That's optional. And type is optional. In this case, it's going to be 0. So we'll say OK. And it looks like in period 15, we'll be paying interest of $3,332.80. 15, $3,332.80. Okay, try the cumulative interest payment. This is how much between any two periods I want to put up here. Let's work it together. And I'll come up here and we'll use this form. The rate again, divided by the periods. The number of periods. The present value. Now we have a start date and an end date. And of course, we still need the type. I'll hit enter. And it looks like in the first year, we will pay interest of $40,304.57. That is exactly what we show here, $40,304.57. If we wanted just the last 6 months of the first year, we could put a 7 in here, and it looks like we'll be paying $20,098.49 July through December. Now enter the formula for the cumulative principal input. Okay, we'll do it together. Rate divided by periods. Hopefully by now you've been able to get this, and it's secondhand. And our type, enter. So in the first year, the principal will be $6,394.49. $6,394.49. So we agree. Again, we can change this to get the second year, which would be 13 through 24. And it looks like in the second year we'll pay $6,839.72. $6,839.72. Thus you can pull up any period that you want. Now this doesn't allow for people paying down their payments faster. This table is nice in that if somebody gave me an extra $2,000, say in June, I can add that to the payment and all the rest of the figures on the table will change. Thus I like to use the table in most cases.